Check.
Perfect. Okay, are we good to go? Are you ready?
Yeah, good.
Waire, you're easy?
Yeah, I'm good. Ready when you are.
So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another session of the Playhouse. This is probably the best Playhouse that I've done thus far because I've been a groupie of this guy for very many years, and it's more than a pleasure to interview him and just hear what it's taken for him to be and remain relevant. 3 albums in, he's been a part of 3 solo albums in. He's been a part of Noize, and they dropped 2 albums. He's been with the Bashment crew, Nabado. There's so much more that I've left out in that story. He's been a producer, nominated and won so many awards across Africa, done collabos with international artists. If you don't know who this guy is, by the way, imagine just I won't even say it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Playhouse, featuring none other than Kevin Wyre.
Oh, bongela intro, man.
I've not even done you justice. So anyway, let's start this.
Thanks for having me, man. Glad to be on. I've watched a couple of past episodes, and I'm liking what I see, man.
Like what you see, yeah?
Yeah, man.
So Wyre, basically me and you are just having a conversation, and the audience is eavesdropping, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So without a doubt, you're a veteran in this industry, but I want us to start this thing at the beginning. And the beginning for me is, tell us about when this passion and this love for music started.
Yeah, it started way back, man. My dad had the largest collection of music when I was growing up, on vinyl. And he had everyone in that collection, from Elvis Presley to Charlie Pride to Boney M, ABBA, Bee Gees, to the Jackson 5, to Michael himself. So I grew up listening to so much music growing up. And there's one day, he used to have this set of headphones, Philips headphones, in the house. So one day he woke up in the morning, and I sort of discovered that if you plug in your the headphones and press record on the system, it becomes a PA. It becomes a public address system. My dad found me doing that. He flipped. What are you doing to my headphones? How did you discover that in the first place? So later on, my mom managed to get me a keyboard, and I set up in a certain section of my house, which they called my studio.
Yeah.
And that's where I started writing my own music.
How old are you at this time?
Wow. I think the headphone incident, I think I was maybe like around 6 or 7 years old. But later on, maybe just before I got into high school, I think maybe I was like 11 or 12 when my mom got me the keyboard, and I started doing the sessions in my house, playing beats on the desk where the keyboard was, trying to play a couple of songs and write my own songs. I think maybe I was about 11. And at some point, I remember they used to come and try and watch me, and I'm there singing, playing my own music and singing. They used to stand there aside just watching, So I'm glad that the support was there from day one. Mm-hmm. When I got into high school, I joined the school choir.
What high school did you go to?
Ditches, baby.
Represent your hood.
That go, man. Big up KJ. Big up. Who else?
Julian.
Rekebisha, man, was there, man. So Dago was really passionate about the arts. So I joined the school choir, and that helped a lot when it comes to learning to singing a unit. Picking your voice. I was in bass 1.
You were in bass 1.
Bass 1. That's my voice. Shortly after, we formed an a cappella group called Soul Pack, and we were like 5 guys, and we started performing in different high schools. So I think the whole performance element I learned pretty early. My stage fright Kushadons in high school. I remember the first time we ever performed was in Dago itself, like at the Sunday service, and my shirt was so wet by the by the time we were done performing, it was crazy. But I think I really got used to that. We started performing in different high schools, and I started signing autographs quite early. So I got used to showbiz at a pretty early stage in life.
Yeah. Let me just ask a question even before we just scroll over that. This is the 90s that we're talking about. So where was the music scene at this time? Who are you listening to in terms of, is there any local guys you're listening to? Who's inspiring your songs?
Well, I was in primary school. The first album I ever owned was a reggae album. It was Don Carlos tape. I fell in love with reggae then shortly came in the Yellow Mans and the Shabarangs. Now dancehall started creeping in. So I was like, wow, this new sound of reggae, I'm digging it. Shortly came in Bon Jamaicans, I flipped. Snow came in with Informer. And I was the only guy who could do Informer in primary school.
Can you still do it, by the way?
Wow, it's been
Informer, you know, say that I'm a snowman, I go blame. I like keep on down. Take the man that say that I'm a snowman, stand somewhere down the lane.
I like boom boom now. I'm like, who's this dude, man, flowing like this? And he's like, Jungu, man. So, yeah, man. So this whole dancehall thing really grew on me, and I when I got into high school, I started writing my own music. Which I think was a very big blessing to my career. The moment I started writing my own music, I started, there's this thing that always happens is there's some artists who never entered a studio, and when you get to record them, they can't sing on beat, they can record on beat. So I trained myself to be able to sing on beat and to be able to sing on key. In fact, being part of Soul Pack really helped me to be able to get my notes right and stuff. Because as a group, you're all singing different voices. Half of the time you're trying to get the right note, you're clashing. So that really helped me to be able to adjust to get my keys right, my notes right. So
how many members were you in the group?
5.
Okay.
5 guys. Yeah, and at that time, by the time I was getting into high school, we were listening to a lot of locally, who was hot? Oh yeah, just before I got into high school, there was what was this group called? There was a group called House Troop, a hip hop group called House Troop. There was Zigzag.
Local now?
Local, a group called Zigzag. Hardstone. Yo, Hardstone was hot at that time. There was Shades of Black. There's quite a number. No, actually, Hardstone and Shades of Black came in a bit later. Yeah, but I remember there was a house troupe, there was Zigzag. Jimmy Gato was in a group called Impulse.
Oh, wow.
In fact, there was Flashpoint at first, and then there was Impulse. Wow, memories.
Throwback, yeah?
Yeah. I know Mercy had been there for a minute. Mercy Maya had been there for a minute.
Yeah, but it sounds like majority of what was on your playlist was international musicians.
Yeah, back then, yeah, definitely. I remember guys like Genuine had just started checking in back then. I loved his first album, The Bachelor. That was amazing.
That's the one with Pony.
It was a classic album, man. Definitely. There was still the Jodeci vibe going on back then. R&B groups were really bringing it big back then. On the hip hop side, the Wu-Tangs were still there. Who else? I listened to
Redman, Method Man.
Oh yeah. So, Method was still in Wu, but they're still fooling around with Redman.
So that's your influence.
The APMD, man. There was a lot. I used to listen to a lot of music, man, definitely back then. So there's a lot of influences, but I fell in love with reggae and dancehall for sure at that time.
Oh, nice. Okay, so where do we go from here then? How does Wyre what happens at this time? Are you like, yo, I'm going to become a musician? Is that the goal?
It had always been my plan. I remember back then, you used to hear about wishing on stars, and I remember wishing on a star once and saying, yo, I want to do this music thing, and I really wanted to work. That's how much I believed in it, definitely.
Yo.
When it came to stage performances, there's one performance I watched, and that made me decide, yo, I have to be a performer. That was Michael Jackson's performance of Billie Jean for the first time, in Motown 25.
That's when he did the moonwalk for the first time. Huh?
Yes. That one just blew my mind away, man. Because he did this thing with the bros, the whole performance of the bros, and it's like, yes, I love the old stuff, but mostly I love the new stuff. And then he did Billie Jean, and then he did the moonwalk. I was like, oh my goodness,
it's over.
This is what I want to do for life, man. I want to be on stage,
dude. So let me ask you. Now you tell your folks, this is what I want to do. Like, explain. How was it?
Cleared. So in high school, I really got into the choir thing and the performance thing. Shortly after high school, I started doing performances here and there. I remember the first event I ever did after high school was what was it called? It was called a Showdown, and it was organized by what's the name of the company? Shilton Entertainment. Before Big Kev formed True Black later on. And there's an R&B category, and I remember I performed in that show. So my first instrumental ever made was made at Next Level. Big up Alfie Minjire for making my first instrumental ever. I did my track and we went to perform, and I won my category. And so that's when my folks started saying, hey, here, there's potential. But see, the main thing I wanted to study was music production. You know what I mean? And back then there was no main place where you could go and study music production. So I opted to study mass communication. So that's what I did. So when I was doing my mass com, when it came to choosing where you wanted to do your internship, I had already started doing some projects at Ted Josiah's studio. Oh, that's another story for a whole.
No, dude.
How much time do you have?
We have time because you can't jump the way you just joined Ted Josiah's studio. There's no way. Okay.
I did. Okay.
Okay, let's take us to your first meeting with Ted.
Okay.
Because it sounds like you did your internship
there. After I won the Showdown event, and that's when I got there's this famous picture of please do not put that picture on this. Okay, I'm sure I can't avoid it. It'll be put. There's this famous picture of mine doing the rounds. So thank you, Big Ted. Thank you for posting it. And it's still doing the rounds, of me shaking somebody's hand, wearing a very big coat. And and that Big Ted is standing behind me. I was receiving my award for that Showdown. So that's where it came from, people. I started doing a couple of more shows with Shilton Entertainment, and that's when I met these two guys who were some serious hustlers at that time. One of them was called Faki. The other one is called Patrick.
Faki now manages Yashinsky.
Yes, Faki. So they had a company called Shakumaku Entertainment. They'll kill me for unleashing these details. But yeah, they had a company called Shakumaku Entertainment. And they're like, yo, you know what? We're working with a certain group, hip hop group called MGC. Now, MGC was a hip hop group which one of the members was what's the name? Kajairo. Kajero was a rapper. And they were serious rappers. They were called MGC, Mystical Ghetto Cause. Yeah, man. So, wow, those are memories, man.
You get us such a throwback.
Proper, man. MGC, Mystical Ghetto Cause. And they were serious, man. So, I met up with them and they were like, you know, we're managing this group and I think they were like, we like your sound, we'd like to see what we can try and do together. So that's when we started, you know, rehearsing together, trying to get gigs for me. And I remember once we went to the barn at the Ngong Race Course and K Shaka was doing an appearance and we were meant to perform as well, but I don't think we got to perform. I think MGC managed to perform, but I didn't get to perform. It was crazy those days, man. I was trying to get a gap to to perform. I remember us going to F2 and K-South were performing and we were trying to get in on the lineup at Madhouse and Madi. Man, eventually what happened is Patrick got in touch with me and he had mentioned that Ted was looking for some new artists. They had just opened the Audio Vault Studios.
On Dennis Pritt.
Yes, on Dennis Pritt. And he was like, yo, you know, we need to do this. Let's go do a demo, record a demo and drop it off. Let's see what he thinks about it. So we went with the same instrumental that Alfie had made for me at Next Level. I went to record in a studio in Buruburu. I forgot the name of the studio. I did my demo. So we planned like a week later, we went to Ted's studio. And I'll never forget that day when we knocked at the gate. And the caretaker, he didn't even open the gate. There's a small opening where, you know, you slip your hand to lock with a padlock. That's where he put his face to look at. He said, Sema. So I'm like, hey, Sema, we're here to come and see Ted. Then the guy's like, Ted Ayuko. And you can see Ted's car, by the way. Okay. Okay, so tunaweza kuja lini, when can we come and see? He's like, kuja next week. So we asked whether we could at least drop off the tape and the demo, and then we left our contacts. So we left, it was like, okay, at least it was a good trip. We went home. After about a week or two, we got Patrick got a call from Audio Vault, and they were like, we'd like to see you guys. We got your demo. We'd like to see you guys. So we're like, okay,
that's good. At least he gave the tape.
Yes. Yeah, through that shimo in that. At least if you can.
Yeah, if you can.
So we came back after 2 weeks. We waited at the reception. So we're chilling like this at the reception. I don't know who passed. I don't know if I saw Johnny of Keishaka pass. I was like, what? So I chilled. So shortly after we entered studio. When we entered studio, it was him, it was Ted, and I don't know if Ambrose was there. I think Ambrose, Mandugu Digital was there. Mm-hmm. Both of them were seated down. So we sat down. Oh yes, I remember. I walked into studio and I think David Moravia was in the reception, and then he left as well. So we walked into the studio, we found Ted chilling and Ambrose. And the studio was beautiful, man. I mean, yo, Ted was like P. Diddy at that time. Chilling with amazing speakers. I think it was ridiculous. Big console, lights, and man, I was like, whoa, man. This is where I need to be, man. If I'm not recording here, I'm not recording anywhere else. So you're like, hey, so you're Wyre. Good. And this is Patrick. Yeah, we're working together. So you're like, okay, I listened to your demo, and I've sat up upright like this. We were looking like we were getting a lecture or something, and I listened to your demo. And I've never told anyone this. I didn't even tell Keshaka this. So I was like, okay. So I'm waiting for this lecture. And he was like, and it was tight.
Whoa. Whoa.
So I looked at Patrick. So you know how you're doing backflips
You arrived.
in your mind and your heart, like, yo, he just told me my demo was tight. But I'm trying to keep, so I'm like, thank you, I appreciate it. Trying to keep it gangster, I'm like, thank you. But inside my head, I've done backflips. I'm like, wow. He told me my demo is tight.
Nimefika.
So it's like, yo, I was like, but don't grow a big head because I told you that. I was like, cool. I was like, thanks, man, I appreciate it. So like, come see me maybe in another 2-3 weeks. Then we see what we can start working on. I'm like, cool. So I came back. We came back after about 2-3 weeks, and that's when he was like, yeah, come into the studio, I'd like you to meet someone. So when I walk in the studio, who do I find? Nikki. Yo, Nikki was like...
You know, guys don't even know as Nikki. Guys know as Sheila Monyiga.
She's wow. I find Nikki. I'm like, what? It's like, yo, yeah, I want you guys to work on a song together, Nikki. And yeah, we started writing a song together, and we actually got to record it, but we never released it.
Can I ask, what's the name of the song?
Oh,
Or you can't even remember?
wow, I can't.
Okay, but let me ask, at this time, you have apart from that demo,
Yeah.
you have nothing out.
Nothing else recorded. I'd actually recorded some stuff which was never released at Hills Media. The first time I ever stepped into a studio. Whoa, man, there's a part I jumped, my guy.
It's okay, we can rewind. Select and
When I was in high school, because my dad knew how much I loved music. Now his brother was Sammy Moran. Sammy Moran was one of the hugest River Road Mugiti artists. He did Mama Kiwinya, sad songs, and so he was quite big time. He talked to so my dad talked to his bro, and he's like, yo, my son would really like to do this music thing. So he's the one who took me for my first studio session ever.
What?
So he took me to River Road. I got to see a studio for the first time. I fell in love. Then he took me to Hills Media for my next session, which was when I recorded my first 2 songs ever. This was in 1996.
Whoa.
Yeah. 96. Hills Media. And that time we were recording on reel to reel.
Yes.
So when you do a take and you do a mistake, my friend,
Your
you need to start on the top of it. And you're on the hour. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. So that was the first session I ever did. 96 is when I recorded my first song.
But none of those songs, you didn't release them on
I
radio?
never released it. But those were the songs I had started writing in high school. I recorded my first 2 songs.
Can you remember any of them? Can you give us a
well,
taste? I'm taking you too back.
I think the first one was called Tell Me. Wow. Let me get back to you on that.
So you never re-recorded them, eh?
Re-recorded? No.
Yeah, okay, cool.
No. But those were my first 2. So 96, yeah, that's the first time I recorded. Okay. Yeah. Fast forward to Ted and working with Nikki. So we never released that song. So shortly after is when I got into studying mass communication, and I requested specifically that I want to do my internship at Audioval Studios. And so when I came and asked Ted whether I could do my internship there, he was like, yeah, cool, let's do this, man. They had never had an intern before. So
wait, stop there. Let's categorize here a bit.
Okay.
We'll come back to that story.
Okay.
All guys, we're catering you also because Yani, the story is nice. I want you to first just absorb that. Cool. So we'll come back and then now you just tell us about the TED experience.
Okay.
So
Right.
I'm working with Ted Josiah, the great, the legendary, living Ted Josiah.
The one and only.
Yep.